prepare a speech, so he is going to get an impromptu question from this evening's Toastmaster. Will you please help me welcome Mr. Greg Miller? And here is your subject of your speech. Given that you are a history professor, the question is, what is your opinion of what is going on in the world today? Is it coruscation or is it gloom and doom? Mr. Greg Miller.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. I appreciate this difficult question, as I never back down and I love a good challenge. I would love to be able to give a Pollyanna approach to this. Had I been living back in the 1990s, I would have done so. I would have told you in every day, every way, things are getting better and better. I regret that I cannot truthfully say that. I hate to sound gloom and doom. I hate to rain on people's parades. But I genuinely believe that the world is getting worse. The most obvious aspect of this is the world's political situation. Back in the 1990s, I remember thinking, yay, Russia is my friend. After all, good old Gorbachev created both glasnost, openness, and perestroika reform as he first withdrew from the Eastern Bloc, gave the Russian people more rights, and then after a failed coup, the Soviet Union ended. We had Russia, first Mikhail, then Boris. Neither one seemed to get the job done. And unfortunately now we have bad old Vladimir Putin. And Russia is now one of our strategic enemies, and we just don't want to go there in regards to the Ukraine and some other locations as they have been testing our system. There is a potential World War III in the South China Sea, as the Chinese seem to be more belligerent to their neighbors, especially Taiwan, which they consider to be a breakaway province from their country we are committed to defend. That is a bad situation. Also, if you consider how we owe them over $1 trillion, that has created a frenemy situation, exacerbated by all of the coruscations that American businessmen and inventors and entrepreneurs make, and the Chinese just steal it all. So China is a strategic enemy of ours as well. But the worst part of the world is the Middle East. There, things are getting worse and worse. And unfortunately, the one country that the world should be allied with, that should be realizing, hey, they're a democracy, they're doing quite a bit of coruscation in science, agriculture, water preservation, etc. Israel, for whatever reason, seems to be the world's scapegoat. Maybe anti-Semitism, but you didn't hear that from me. Admittedly, Israel would be wise to withdraw from most of their West Bank settlements, so the situation with the Palestinians wouldn't be as bad as it is. I hate you, you hate me. If we're away from each other, there isn't a problem. If we're next to each other, there is. And many of the unfortunate stabbings and other types of vigilante violence have been caused by no fences make bad neighbors. I don't believe the Palestinians, or for that matter, most of the rest of the Muslim world, would ever be willing to make peace with Israel. So Israel has to do whatever they have to defend themselves, and I completely condemned the situation by a Spanish judge today, saying that the leaders of Israel, if they ever go to Spain without diplomatic immunity, stand war crimes trials for the sole reason that the Israelis prevented a ship filled with weapons led by a terrorist organization, delivering it to another terrorist organization, attacked Israeli soldiers, and Israel fought back. How dare Israel, how dare they be tried for war crimes? But the real problem from the Middle East comes from Islamic extremism. Sunni in the case of ISIS, and we all know the tragedy that happened on Friday in Paris. It happened earlier in 2015 in Paris again and Copenhagen, and God forbid it very well might happen again, especially if you have this massive influx of these immigrants from Afghanistan, Syria, and other locations. I'm sure that most of them just want a better life and to leave the evil grip of ISIS. But there are some bad apples in the bunch, and unfortunately, many Muslims, I don't mean to condemn all Muslims, but many of them do harass Jews in Europe. They do harass women. They don't assimilate. They don't find jobs. They don't get educated. And there is that unfortunate issue, and that's just going to get worse. Then you have Shiite extremism. With that, you have Iran and their minion of Hezbollah and the militias in Iraq. They are building a bomb. Yes, our government is playing a game of see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. They are a strategic enemy of us. They can, and God forbid, very well might do some bad things in the future. And as sad as it might say, at least ISIS is killing many of them, and they're killing ISIS. I just wish we could just lock them up and let them kill each other, and that would be it. So there are those global problems. I'm sure the world being the way it is will have other problems in the future. Hopefully some of these problems can be solved. I don't believe a situation or a solution is impossible, but let us just all hope for the best, that we can work it out for the sake of our lives, our children, and our children's children. Thank you, Toastmaster.